In reading, we've talked about 4 weather climates. Angela, sit up. Who can identify some of the climates we have studied? There's 4 main ones that we've talked about. Think back. What are some regions, types of climates we've studied? Theo, what's one?
Rainforest.
So the rainforest is a tropical climate. So that's one. Tropical. An example is the rainforest. Okay, what's another one that's different than tropical? Angela.
Polar.
We've learned about polar. An example of a polar climate is like Antarctica, where it's cold all the time. There's snow and ice, right? What's a different one? Dave. Desert. And this is different than both of these. The desert is dry. The desert can be hot or cold, but it's dry. There's no snow. There's no rain, hardly at all. And that 4th one is the tricky one. Nick, do you remember? I know you wanted to share. Nope. Okay, Ashley. Temperate. Temperate is the one that I feel like we have struggled with. A lot of kids see this word, they say, oh, temperature. It does sound like temperature, but temperate is really important because boys and girls, we live in a temperate region right here. A temperate region means that you have different seasons. You have winter, you have spring, fall, summer, and fall. Temperate climates have different seasons. They have different weather. If we lived in a tropical climate, we would not have these seasons. It would be warm all year. So there are people who live in different regions that don't know about these seasons. Let me give you an example. We have lots of students in our school that have moved from a country that is more tropical. We have students in our own building who had never seen snow in the winter until they moved here. If you were born in a temperate climate, you've seen snow since you were a little kid. You know all about it. But there are some people who have never seen snow because they don't have winter seasons. They live in tropical climates where it's warm all year long, so it doesn't snow. Ashley, or Maberly, go ahead.
When I was little, actually, I never see snow. Because in my state, it was very hot all year long, and it only
rained. So then there are people who live in the desert. People who live in the desert, they're not around very much rain or snow, so they probably don't know about snow either. A temperate climate is our climate where we live, and we have different seasons.
I'm not familiar.
Okay? Yes, Nick?
I think they did the stuff like they make in the desert. Like
they probably have stores and stuff just like we do. And maybe they have different supplies. Like we wear big winter coats because it gets cold. There are people who live in warm places who don't need big winter coats, so they don't have to buy them. But we have to buy them. Gloria? Right, exactly. Ashley?
My favorite season is fall because when it's fall, I like.
Yeah, and so we have the opportunity to know about different seasons. Yes, Theo.
Do you wish it would be summer right?
I do, Theo. I wish it would be summer right now. That is what I wish.
My dad can go fishing with me.
Yeah, and there's so much more fun things to do in the summer. Okay, we are going to begin by watching a video about weather patterns.
Normally you spell winter wrong. Oh no, that looked like an H.
Thank you. Make sure your mask is on, please. We're going to start by watching this about watching weather patterns. I need to see bodies that are focused. That means you're sitting safely. Kaylee, I've asked you 2 times. I shouldn't have to ask you to sit with 3rd grade expectations. Headphones are not a toy. Please put them down. Right? An expectation means you do it without being asked. You're safe, you're responsible with our stuff, and you're respectful. Here we go. Let's learn about being a weather watcher.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire,
Welcome back to the fort. Squeaks and I are spending the day inside because it's raining. It rained yesterday too, and I remember that because I wrote it down in my weather journal. My weather journal is where I write down what the weather is like every day. Do you keep a weather journal? Well, you can. It's easy. Each day, just look out your window or step outside and see what the weather is like. Then you can write it down or draw a picture like Squeaks does of what you see. There are a few different kinds of weather to look for. It can be rainy, like it is today, or sunny, when the sun is high in the sky and shining bright. Or when there's no sun but lots of clouds, that's cloudy. There's also snowy, when snowflakes fall from the sky. And windy, when you might need to hold onto your hat. Weather can be unpredictable. It's hard to guess what's going to happen next. It can be cloudy one day and sunny the next. But over long periods of time, weather often follows certain patterns. For example, it might be mostly sunny in the summer, but it might snow a lot in the winter. So depending on what season it is where you live, the weather might have a certain pattern. If you're in the middle of a season like summer, you might notice it's sunny and warm for 5 days in a row. That's a pattern. But if the season is changing, the weather might not follow a pattern that's easy to guess. Say if winter is ending, you might find that a few days are colder and windier, but then the next few days are sunny and warm. That's because the season is changing, going from a chillier winter to a warmer spring. That's why I like to keep a weather journal to see what weather patterns I can observe for myself. Scientists who study the weather every day as their job are called meteorologists. But you don't have to be a meteorologist to watch the weather where you live. In fact, all you need is a notebook, a pencil or crayon, and a thermometer. Besides going outside to see and feel what the weather is like, you can also look at a thermometer to find out more about the weather. This is a thermometer. It tells you what the temperature is outside, how hot or how cold it is. The higher the liquid is inside of the thermometer, the hotter it is outside. And the lower the liquid is, the colder it is outside. If you want to keep a weather journal like I do, then you might want to see if your family can get an outdoor thermometer to help you record the temperature. Then every day, you can look outside and write down what you see or draw a picture. Next, look at the temperature on your thermometer and write down how hot or cold it is. Just look for the line on the thermometer that's closest to the top of the liquid. That's your temperature. I like to write in my weather journal at the same time every day, right after breakfast. You can pick a time that works best for you and observe the weather at the same time every day for 5 days. After 5 days, look back through your weather journal. What was the weather like this week? Did you see any patterns? Can you guess what the weather might be like on the 6th day based on what you've seen already? Share your journal with your friends, and if you want, you can keep observing the weather for more than 5 days. If you watch the weather for, say, a whole month, you'll be able to watch the weather change. In fact, you'll probably see at least a few of the different types of weather that we talked about earlier. A mix of sunny, cloudy, and rainy days. And if you keep your weather journal for a whole year, you'll be able to see the weather where you live at its hottest and its coldest. And you'll have a list, either in your words or your pictures, of everything that happened that year. Then you'll know when the first snow of the winter was, and the highest and lowest temperatures of the year, and if it rained more some times of the year than others. So grab your notebook and get outside. It's time to watch the weather. Thanks for joining us on SciShow Kids. And remember, if you have a question for any of us here at the fort, let us know by leaving a comment or emailing us at kids@thescishow.com.
Okay. So today we're talking about weather patterns and how we can predict weather within certain climates. Let's go ahead and find our task on Seesaw, please. We'll do that together. click on activities, assign to class folder, red, ELA. Our task today is called weather patterns. You may open it up. Let's look at slide number 1. On slide number 1, we're going to hear a little bit more about the patterns that happen in a climate. So in a tropical climate, the pattern is it's warm all the time. But where we live, a temperate climate, our pattern is we have winter, spring, summer, fall. Then the pattern starts over. Winter, spring, summer, fall. In the desert, there might be a pattern of it being hot and then cold, but it's dry the whole year. Yes, Dave. You may. Thank you for asking. So let's pay attention. Let's focus our attention on this next video about the patterns that happen with weather.
In that video, we talked about weather patterns. We can have all kinds of patterns in different areas of life. For instance, look at these shapes: circle, square, triangle, star. Circle, square, triangle, star. If you were to guess, what would the next shape be? A circle, and then a square, and then a triangle, and then a star. We could also use patterns in colors: blue, orange, purple, yellow. Blue, orange, purple, yellow. And then we could easily predict what color or shape would come next. This is a lot like the weather patterns that make up our climate. And there are all kinds of different kinds of climates. The pattern of our temperate climate would be spring, summer, fall, winter. Spring, summer, fall, winter. When we're talking about weather, we're not really sure exactly what the weather's going to be like the next day, but we can easily predict what the next season will be. And when we can predict what the next season will be, we call that climate. Because climate is over a long period of time. Right now we're in the winter. Weather is over a short period of time, from day to day. I want you to fill out this chart with what you think the weather pattern looks like for each state in the spring, summer, fall, and winter. Now, it's all in the United States, so it's going to look, some of it, the same. It's going to look mostly the same, but there will be some differences because even in the United States alone, some states are warmer and some states are colder. Let's just change this first state to Indiana. And we can see where we are in Indiana. If Ohio is right here, Indiana would be right about here, right next to it. And that is in the temperate climate. Down here it looks like it gets really hot, it's warm, and it cools down. Up here it looks like it's really cold, it snows a lot, and then it warms up. And we meet somewhere in between those two. So from that map, along with the knowledge that I already know, I can infer different things about Indiana. I can guess and have a good idea of what each season looks like. So in the spring in Indiana, I don't think it's going to be freezing. I think there might be some days where it's warm, some days where it's cloudy, some days where it's rainy, probably mostly rainy in the spring compared to other seasons. Now, if I want to use one again, I will need to copy and paste. So in the summer, it's probably going to be mostly sunny. You also might have some cloudy days and some rainy days, but it's probably going to be mostly sunny. Maybe a cloudy day in there, maybe a rainy day. In the fall, it's probably going to be mostly cloudy, and maybe there might be some days where it's pretty cold. Sometimes we do get really cold weather in the fall. Now, in the winter, it's going to be mostly cold and probably mostly cloudy. Not really going to get a lot of sunny days. So this is what it would look like in Indiana. Maybe in Texas, you might get a little more sun along with Florida. And we can make an inference, make a good guess about Ohio since it's right next to Indiana. So go ahead with your teacher and fill out this chart for each state. And you can use this map to help you figure out what kind of weather patterns that state has.
Okay. Let's go ahead and click on slide number 2 together and take a look at the maps that we're using today. Go ahead and click on slide number 2. On slide number 2, we see a map of the world. We've got a couple masks that need to be on our noses, below our chin. Here's a map of the world. And if you look over here, this is called a climate key. And what this does is it shows you different climate regions. So let's start with the blue color. Blue means this climate is cold all year long. To me, that sounds like polar. A climate that is cold all year long. So let's look at our map and figure out where in the world is it cold all year long. Well, we've already talked about how near the North Pole, up at the top of our Earth, it's cold all year long. If you look down at the very bottom of the map, you see another blue area called Antarctica. It's cold all year long. Those blue areas with the map would be our polar climates. Okay? Let's look for another region. Let's go to the purple color. Look at your climate key. Purple means this climate has cold winters and warm summers. Cold winters and warm summers. What kind of climate would that be, Alicia? That would be temperate, and oh my goodness, that's us. A cold winter and a warm summer. So let's look at where purple is colored on the map. And let's see where those temperate climates would be. Okay, I see the US right here. Here's the United States, that's our country. I notice that most of our country is colored purple. Most of our country is temperate. We mostly have some cold winters and warm summers. And of course, that means spring and fall are in there too. Where else in the world do you see some temperate climates where it's cold in the winter, warm in the summer? Oh my goodness, look at this huge climate region right here. Huge temperate region. That's bigger than our country. And then I see some little areas where they also have temperate regions like us. I bet they have snow in the winter and then it's super hot in the summer, just like us. Okay, I want you to do the next two. Look at your climate key over here. You have an orange color and you have a red color. I want you to explore the map. Orange means the climate has warm winters and hot summers. Oh my gosh, a warm winter? That doesn't sound like temperate to me. I wonder which type of climate that might be. And then red means this climate is hot all year long. Hot all year long. I'm wondering which type of climates that might be. take 1 minute, explore your map, and I want you to circle some orange and red areas that you see some climate regions. Circle your orange and red climate regions. Please join me and click on slide number 3. Okay, now instead of a huge world map, Mr. McKinney zoomed in a little bit. He zoomed in on part of the map. So take a look at our maps. On the left side, we still have that climate map. And I see our country. Right here is the United States. And then south of it is Mexico.
That's a little weird.
Right here. South of it is Mexico. And then we have Central America. Lots of little countries right there. Lots of people who speak Spanish in those countries. And then this is called South America. Notice how some of those continents have the name America in it. That's because we are called North America. Then if you travel south, it's called Central America because it's in the center. And then you go further south, it's called South America. Those are different continents. North America and South America are different continents. But notice how we're not the only continent that's called America. That's a little trivia for you to take home and tell your parents. There are other continents with the name America, and we are called North America. Take a look at these climates. Then to the right, we have a map of our country. Here is a map of America, North America. We call ourselves the United States. Here are the states. Can you find Indiana on that map? I want you to circle Indiana. Where do we live on this map? Find our state and circle it. Who's found it? Who's found it? Circle it. Good. Our state is right here.
By Ohio. We're by Ohio. My steps.
We live right here in Indiana. Okay. And Mr. McKinney was sharing with us how we all live in a temperate in the United States, but sometimes our weather can be a little bit different. Like Nick was sharing in Florida, down in Florida, it is warmer than it is here. In Florida, it's sunnier more days in the year. We have lots of cloudy days. They have lots of sunny days. Same thing with Texas, because Texas is further south. They have more sunny days than we do. So on this map of climates, this orange area is the south of our country. Places like Florida and Texas, it is warmer there. They don't have winter as much as we do. They might have a little bit of winter, but they're probably not getting as much snow as we do. If it snows there, it's probably a really big deal. Some people love it there because there's not as much cold. Okay? And then I want you to look up north. Look at this circled state called North Dakota. Check this out up here. North Dakota. Check it out. That state is really far north in our country. So let's find that on the climate map. It's way at the top of our country. So in our climate map, it would be right up here. So look at our climate map. North Dakota is still in the purple area, but it's getting really close to that blue area. It's getting close to the blue area. Remember, blue meant cold all year. So people in our country live in a temperate, but if they're further north, we are right here. But if they live further north, They might have even more cold than we do. My brother, my baby brother, lives in Chicago. He's like right here. He's just a little bit more north than we are, just a little bit, just a few hours. But Chicago gets way more snow than Indianapolis.
Chicago right now is their snow is all the way like up here.
Yep.
Because my mommy friend in Chicago, and we went to go pick her up yesterday.
Yep. Put your mask on, please. So Kaylee and I know that even when somebody lives in Chicago, just a little bit further north, their winters are more severe. They have colder, windier weather and more snow. And they still live in a temperate. They're like right by us. So can you imagine if you live all the way up here in North Dakota, what that might be like? Yes, Landon.
Can I charge it up?
You may, yes, you may walk over there and plug in. Okay, so our country is a temperate climate, but even in our own country, the weather patterns can change a little bit. As Mayberly said, she used to live in a state where it was hot and sunny most of the time. Hot and sunny most of the time, and that's totally different than Indiana. Yes, Ashley.
I went to Chicago.
You went to Chicago. Was it a warm season or a cold season?
It was pretty cold. It was actually mostly cold.
Mostly cold season. Kaylee.
Where's Chicago?
So in Indianapolis is right here, this green dot. Chicago is right about here beneath that little blue body of water. Mayberly.
The last time I went to Chicago, actually, it was very warm, but when we got on a boat, and we went like a little far, it started to get cold.
On the water. That's called Lake Michigan. Yep. Right over here is Lake Michigan, and you'll see the word Michigan right there. That's another state. This body of water is called Lake Michigan. Yes, Nick.
My boyfriend lives.
Mom's boyfriend lives in Chicago? Cool. Yes, Day.
I think I'm staying for another state because I got
Myrtle Beach?
both.
I forget where that is, but it's somewhere on this side. It may be in the Carolinas, Myrtle Beach. Somewhere over here.
Yes, warm.
Yeah, and that when you go further south in our country, that's why people drive south to Florida. Guess whose parents are driving to Florida today? My parents. They are driving from Indianapolis, and they're in a car right now, and they're driving south because it's too cold here. And they have some vacation money to spend, and they want to spend it where it's warm. So my parents today are driving in their car, and they're driving a long time, and they want to drive south because it gets warmer when you go south. Okay, couple more quick thoughts, and we need to move on. Angela.
I was born in Florida.
Angela was born in Florida. Oh my goodness, Kaylee.
My mom was going to Texas.
Texas, and it's gonna be probably nicer there right now because their weather is not as intense in the winter. Ashley. Because we had a president, the first president in our country was named George Washington. So some things are named after him. Theo. Nice. We've got good smoothies there because it's a tropical climate. They've got some good fruit. Alicia. Yeah, and then you guys moved here. Oh, so he was actually born over there where it's a little bit warmer, but they still have some cold winters. Okay, Maberly, last one. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Great discussion about our climate and how even in a temperate climate, the weather can change when you drive a little north or a little south. Yes, Day.
At my old school, I I went here. She told me that compost is to
Oh my goodness. Yep. Some people have family in other states. Okay, click on slide number 5 with me, please. Slide number 5 says, with your teacher. This is our text for today. We are going to read this text together and think about how this connects to what we know about climate. How does this connect to Mr. McKinney teaching us that weather is like a pattern? I want you listening and thinking, how does this connect to what we know? Here we go. Some people want to know the weather when they wake up. They look outside or check the weather forecast. A weather forecast tells people what the weather might be in their area. If it looks like it might rain, people may pack an umbrella or stay inside. If it might be hot and sunny that day, people may wear shorts or go to the pool. Sometimes the weather in an area stays the same for days or weeks. This is called a weather pattern. Weather patterns are usually connected to the 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. There are many different weather patterns. Remember, not just temperate, there's different weather patterns. One weather pattern is hot and dry weather. Temperatures are usually high during the summer in the United States. The southwest part of the United States is especially hot and dry in the summer. Take a look at our map. Take a look at our map. Right here, they're talking about this part of our country. The southwest part is hot and dry. Well, look, our climate map shows that it's orange. That's a little bit different than what we have. It's hotter and drier there in the summers. Let's keep going with our text. Another weather pattern is rainy weather. In the United States, rainy weather happens mostly in the spring and summer. For 20 states in our country, the month with the most rain is May or June. These states include Ohio, Idaho, Louisiana, and New York. A few states have rainy weather in the winter. Hawaii gets the most rain each year in the United States, and its rainiest month is December. Take a look at our map, right? Our southern areas have the most rain. Some places like next to us, like up here, like Ohio, it has a lot of rain. We have a lot of rain. We're right next to Ohio. Very cool. Let's keep going. Look out your window. What is the weather outside today? Is it the same as yesterday? Do you think it will be the same tomorrow?
No.
Check out our text features. We've got a photograph and a photograph with a caption. Text features help us understand nonfiction text. All right, let's talk about what your task is today. Slide number 6 says independently. This is where you're going to start your work today. Ready? Focusing on your task. Slide number 7 is our text again. It says reread this text by yourself. And then today you're going to answer questions using text evidence. Let's look at some examples. Number 8, use the text on slide number 6. Oops, I meant slide number 7. I apologize. Slide number 7 is the text you're going to use. We just read it together. You're going to fill in the blanks. And Mr. McKinney has given you a job to do. You're going to highlight your evidence using blue for this question. So when you find evidence for this answer, you're going to go back and use blue, and you're going to highlight your evidence. Okay? Then number 9, it says, here's another question. This time it says, highlight your evidence in green. You're going to go back to the text and you're going to use green this time, and you're going to find your answer and highlight it with green. Then number 10, here's another question. This time, highlight in red. Get your red highlight, go back to your text, and you're going to highlight your answer in red. Okay? Today is a find the evidence day, highlighting using the colors, answering the questions, all about our text. Then when you get to slide number 12, 12 is a little bit of fun, thinking about climate regions and the animals that live there. It says, click each link to view the live zoo animals. Then try to decide what type of climate each animal lives in by filling out the chart. So you've got some animals here. You can click to watch a live zoo animal. Hopefully it's on its camera. Hopefully you get to see it. And then I want you to try to determine, what climate does a gorilla live in? What climate does an elephant live in? What climate do these 2 other animals live in? Okay, that is your task today. Your text is on slide number 7, and then you need to find the evidence using your highlight tool and follow the directions so I know what your answer is by your color highlight, okay? All right, friends on Zoom, I'm going to end our Zoom meeting now, and I will be on Zoom at 10:30 for math today. It's now your break time. Take a quick break and then do your independent work.